now that we get to this point, chemical engineering, you can't lead with that nowadays, can you? Nobody wants to talk to you. We're at a party. I just went and got a drink. Dr. Cordell Hardy walks up and I'm like, hey man, what do you do? Oh, chemical engineering. All right. So,
right. Yeah.
Does that happen, or are we all? I mean, I'm interested, but it's not a.
It's a good question. It's a very good question, and so kind of it does. I talked with my wife about this very thing the other day. As we were at various summer parties and so forth, there's this disconnect that I run into along those lines. Maybe somebody's a lawyer, somebody's a stay-at-home parent, whatever. But there's a more natural connection point. Many people just can't empathize. They don't know what we do, and sometimes don't care. Right? They're like, okay, you're doing some technical stuff I don't understand. That's great. I love it.
Yes.
What are we?
Is there anything better than a trip getting ready?
Nope.
For a long journey where our podcast released a new app, searching for a fade fiend, new fixation. Giving this a subscribe is the same sensation. Started with the day ones, they gave us fuel to support the season. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here for a reason. Notification bells, text friends, all to let you know. Check your Bluetooth, connect, talking with Donato.
Welcome in, everyone. Episode 197, The Hardy. Boy, he's a mystery. With our guest, Cordell Hardy. Cordell, what
Hello.
a day. I'm telling you, it's the weekend, but you're here with us. So thank you.
Yes. Oh, I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure, Donato. And I just, really glad to join. Did I say the name properly this time?
Donato.
Donato.
Yeah.
All right.
Donato. It happens. It has Italian roots. It's not
Donato.
as popular as I would have thought.
Yeah. Donato, I'm happy to be here with you. And and the weekend, that's not a big issue at all.
Oh, great. So I love names. I want to start with Cordell. I only know of Cordell Stewart. He goes with a K. Yours is with a C. Cordell, I want to know, who's got it right? Do you have it right, or does he have it right?
Wow. I never actually asked that question. Which one is proper? I have no clue. The etymology of my name, as far as I understand, is French rope maker. So just cord, right? I mean, one who makes ropes, and the meaning and sense of it is one who ties together, brings towards unity, and so that was the kind of sense to take from the name. So binding together, bringing together, and so I embrace the meaning behind it. So far as I'm aware, there is only one other Cordell Hardy in the world, and it's a photographer in Nebraska.
Yeah.
With the same spelling. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the name just really takes us to a whole different place. I gotta go there. So Cordell Hardy. So one who ties together, and he's hardy, so he just won't give up. It's got to come together, whether you want it or not.
Let's go with it.
I like that. I like where that goes. So I want to start with some of the things.
Sure.
I'm working on an MBA right now.
Okay.
And we did a project. There was a case study that was given to us that we had to interpret and answer some questions about typical work, as you can imagine, and it was about 3M.
Okay.
And
all
so
right.
As I started to see this and that and here and there, I came across your name.
Okay.
And then I thought, wait a minute, he was a rattler. So I was intrigued. And so that's how we got here.
Got it.
So FAMU, wait a minute, where are you from and how did you end up at FAMU? I got to know that timeline.
Yeah, that's a great question, and helps to answer one of my questions too. So I appreciate it. So I am a Philly native. My parents were going to grad school in New York for my first 3 years, but they're both from Philadelphia. Actually grew up just about a block and a half from each other, and didn't know each other until later on in North Philadelphia. And so, although I was born in Philly, I spent 3 years in New York while they were finishing up there. Then they relocated back to Philly for early years. And so I spent my upbringing there. I had a penchant for chemistry and math. And so while I many students, was prone to some distraction as I went through high school.
Yes, sir.
Basketball and social stuff and all that. I legitimately just enjoyed chemistry and math. And so it turned out that the president of Florida A&M came to the Northeast. He went as far as DC. I went and had a chance to meet him in DC. And he was asking, as I was talking with him, about my interests in college. And I said, well, I'm thinking about chemistry or chemical engineering. These are areas that I'm just curious about. And he said, well, if you major in chemical engineering and you come to FAMU, I'll give you a full scholarship and come along with some internship activity too. I said, well, I'm coming to FAMU and I'll major in chemical engineering. And it went exactly like that, right? Just that fast. And no hesitation. I was principally raised by my mom. My parents split when I was around 10 to 12 years old. And so the funding for college was a curiosity, I could say it like that. And so having the scholarship funding come through as an opportunity really made the decision easy. And I didn't know too much about what chemical engineers did when I made that choice, but I fell into it. And really enjoyed the curriculum as well as the work experience, and so things progressed from there.
Okay, Philly boy down in the South, in Tallahassee. For those who don't know, I'll insult their geographical knowledge if they don't know where FAMU is. Hey guys, just keep listening. Don't go off and start Googling. Don't get distracted here. It's Tallahassee. It's the state capital. State capital. You're from Philly. How many times did you chuckle when you got there and was like, this is a state capital?
It was very different. The state capital was one thing, but I think it was more just, I'd been to Georgia, spent a summer in Atlanta, but that was a very sort of controlled experience in a family setting. I was staying with my aunt and so forth. So college campus, it was a lot more unfiltered, right? So and so this is 94 arriving. And so first time really seeing a lot of Confederate flags on the cars going down the street. The way of talking was different. I was going to an HBCU. Philly was I was in, very diverse schools, middle and high school. So I was used to seeing ethnic diversity in the education setting, but the HBCU setting was very different, right? So that whole just range of new exposures, that's about the state capital as much as the culture of the deep South versus where I was in sort of an industrialized large metropolitan center in Philly. And 17-year-old going from there to school. I wasn't well traveled at the time, so I learned a lot in a short time. And again, I'm a college kid, right? So the social, the music was way different, right? So Miami bass, I had never even heard any of that. Tootsie Roll and all the line dances people doing in the football stands, that was all different. So, but I made some wonderful friends, and still keep in contact with them to this day.
I'm going to say, when you were at football games, I don't know, maybe they do it different up in Philly. Were you actually interested in the game, and then you left for the halftime to go get some refreshments, use the bathroom, or did the HBCU bands get you?
Oh no, the band, especially you're talking about the FAMU 100.
Oh yeah, yes I am.
I'm biased, but I'll just say it's the best band, right? I mean, so we can have the discussion, but
that's fine. That's fine,
right,
Cordell.
so
that's fine. Now, I went to college next to Bethune-Cookman. I was a mile away from Bethune-Cookman, so I do lean that way. I know y'all are fierce rivals.
I understand. So no, I soaked it all in. And halftime show, crowd experience, and as much as anything, just the sense of family, community, haven for people from all over the country, and some from outside the country, Caribbean. Just coming to a place to have this transformative experience in a unique cultural environment, and then to add, the engineering college is jointly shared with FSU. And so Florida State. And so it's the only college like that in the country, engineering college. And so at the time it was roughly, half FAMU students, half FSU students in the engineering classes. And so that's also a unique environment. And so the cultural interplay between having the HBCU and sort of African American centric cultural experience on campus, and then going to this sort of diverse education environment where you're really focused on your major and you're doing collaborative technical work and taking classes with a very diverse, ethnically as well as socioeconomically diverse student population. It was just a really neat experience. Lots of learning.
I'm gonna say you also stood out of it. You Philly boy, you came down with a pair of Timbs, and you were different. Am I right? Did you change to your environment? Are you a chameleon, or you were like, no, they're gonna love this Philly swag?
A little bit of both.
Oh.
I'm not. I don't know if I would be considered a chameleon. I never really embraced the whole like Miami-based music. So it just wasn't my thing, right? I mean, I didn't grow up with that, so it just wasn't. But at the same time, although I was very much an East Coast hip hop baby, Tribe Called Quest and all that, right? So I mean, that was steeped in that culture coming down. I also, partly because I didn't have the money, and partly because I came down with a really sharp focus on the academics. So I was a geek more than anything else, I would say.
Wow, you're one of the ones
not like thick glasses and repulsive, but I was focused on. I was about business, and I had a lot of fun. My friends were about business too. That's what we came down there to, like,
good circle.
Lit school. Yeah.
Good circle. This is why everyone, and I don't mean to offend. He is Dr. Cordell Hardy, and if you prefer, I don't mind. We could put that.
No,
I don't want to offend, because clearly chemical engineer. We're gonna get back to that. So wait a minute. All of us get distracted though, Cordell. I mean, you said, what were some of your distractions? Like weekends, you knew you wanted to go to a game where maybe you shouldn't have, going to watch basketball games. What was your advice? Step shows? I joined the Divine Nine. I know it can be distracting. Like what were some of your distractions?
Yeah, so I mean, nothing too unusual. Played a lot of video games, basketball hours, and but like it wasn't bad. I mean, I don't regret the heavy social time, because a lot of growth happens there too. But it wasn't disciplined, maybe is a good word. So there was, and you hit this too. It's not abnormal for late teens, early 20s to struggle with, okay, this is important, but I'm going to play and do all the fun stuff, go to the club. I have a test tomorrow, but the weeknight club is open. I might stay there until 3, right? And walk home because I have no car, right? So now, I'm hungry. So it's like 4 a.m. and you have a test tomorrow, kind of a thing like that. These are the sorts of things that you learn over experience. You can just save yourself the trip. It's not worth it, right? So
okay, I want to go back first.
Yeah.
I do, but listen, I know we all mature, we all grow, Cordell, but I want to know, senior year, you got your tray, the lunch guy didn't give you enough food, but you're a little mad, you walk out. What table are you sitting at senior year of high school?
Oh, man. Senior year of high school, oh, wow. So, senior year of high school. So I went to a magnet school, and so I went to Central High in Philadelphia. One of the more prominent public high schools in the city. And at the time, I don't know if it's different now, but at the time, you could manage the attendance system. So if you missed advisory, then you were marked absent for the day. And then you were no longer tracked for attendance in the different classes of the day. So if you miss advisory, although you get an absence showing up on your report card, you also don't show up as having cut a class because you're not technically there. Now, if you went to a class that you wanted to go to, then nobody is happening to cross-reference that.
Yeah.
Part of this is that you're expecting the kids to be mature and, kind of play by the rules. I didn't always do that. So the lunch table wasn't, right. It was across the street at the basketball court.
Oh man.
And so we would go over there and hang out and then migrate back, go to this class or that and kind of like manage the performance through school. The only people we were fooling was ourselves, right? Because there are a lot of so that and so my friends, I had sort of a binary distribution. Some were not as distracted and really focused, and I learned a lot from them, and I was comfortable to hang out with them, and I could converse with them. I could kind of keep up with them in as much as I wasn't always doing my homework. They were, but I was crisp and capable on calculating and stuff like that. And then the other friends that were much more, I don't know, typical is the wrong word. Stereotypical might be, just hanging out, drifting along a little bit. And I was, hanging out with both of them.
No, nothing wrong with being a culturally varied individual. I'll just say that.
This was me.
All right, we're all thinking it. They want me to ask. I already know. Go ahead and say it in a comment, guys. I know y'all want this. All right, West Philadelphia, born and raised. You're North Philadelphia. Man, who's got the best courts? Who's got the best ballers? Where's it at? Do the North Philly guys got to get to West Philly? West Philly come to North?
Hey,
where's the best ball?
So my parents were North Philly. There's a very prominent actor, rapper from West Philly. I grew up in Mount Airy, which is sort of the equivalent of, I guess, Northwest, sort of part of the city. I could tell you this. As much as I enjoyed playing basketball, I didn't have any formal training in it, and I would not have I wasn't one of the top 15 boys for the varsity. I wouldn't have made JV. So I wasn't, I'm a hobbyist, right? And it was always clear I needed to go to school for something, academic. Rasheed Wallace came out of Simon Gratz and went into the NBA. So I think, he's one of the big names to come out of Philly from my time frame. And I'm sure there are a few others also.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's pretty awesome. My era, I had Joe Smith and Allen Iverson. I grew up in Virginia. So those are
of course, guys. AI, we know all about them in Philly right now. So.
I know you do. Okay. Now that we get to this point, chemical engineering, you can't lead with that nowadays, can you? Nobody wants to talk to you. We're at a party. I just went and got a drink. Dr. Cordell Hardy walks up, and I'm like, hey, man, what do you do? Oh, chemical engineering. All right. So,
right. Yeah.
Does that happen, or are we all? I mean, I'm interested, but it's not
It's a good question. It's a very good question. And so kind of it does. I talked with my wife about this very thing the other day, as we were at various summer parties and so forth.
Yeah.
There's this disconnect that I'll run into along those lines, right? Maybe somebody's a lawyer, somebody's a stay-at-home parent, whatever, but there's a more natural connection point. Many people just can't empathize. They don't know what we do and sometimes don't care, right? They're like, okay, you're doing some technical stuff I don't understand. That's great. I love it.
Yes.
All right. What are we drinking? So
yeah.
I have experienced that, but I move on.
Okay.
It's not something I lament. I do lament, and this is on me to do. Yeah. I have to find, as we'll talk about maybe later, like I am not at the bench or in the lab. I'm a manager of people now. So it's much more critical to find connection points and relational, empathetic,
Yes.
socially intimate ways to engage with people that doesn't that transcend whatever your technical or educational background is. You have to be relational with people. You have to be able to connect. Yeah, which you do a great job of.
Well, thank you. No, so you were. I just threw you the alley-oop, Philly boy. I just gave it to you, and you dunked it. That's exactly where I was going next. You're right where because I was going to ask you, can you deal with that? Because I know you got to dumb it down to keep it. And I'm sure you're in great circles, but for the layperson, for the 35 to 44 demographic that is my primary listening audience,
Right.
A lot of us, and we don't know it. We don't want to talk it. Probably can't even spell it. How many E's are in engineering? Is there a double R? Like I feel like that's it. So you have to, and I know this sounds bad, you got to dumb it down. Or honestly, it just sounds like you get it and you're able to transition your work another angle or maybe even deflect from what you do.
Maybe it's that. I think whether you're a teacher and you're thinking about education strategies that are very technical that the average person would not really understand, or engineer or banker, finance person, whatever, there is a level of expertise and the vocabulary coming along with that you're going to share with only the people that are in that circle.
Yes.
And at sort of this common connection point level, it's what do you do? Like we might help in making you mentioned about 3M, something that people can really relate to. We help to make respirators that help keep people safe and alive during the pandemic, right? Scaled up to increase to 2 billion units of capacity where the world was short. Right? That makes a difference, right? It saves a lot of lives, right?
Yes.
The company for which I work now has a very important role in the food supply chain and food security. So the investments and decisions that we make as a company at Cargill make a difference in whether or not people have food. So it gets very relatable.
Yes.
And the technical underpinnings of that, maybe you have to get into, maybe not, right? I mean, I find many times people they're not worried about that. It's like, what do you do for a living? Okay, I work in R&D at company X, and here are the sorts of areas that we might focus on. That's good.
I got it. And Cordell, I appreciate you being flexible. I got to get these ones that I know everyone is just dying for.
Yeah.
Let's get back to, you're a doctor.
Yes.
Now, can doctors lead with that? And does it always come into, oh, well, I do have this itch over here, doc. Like, how many times, once people find out you're a doctor, you have to hurry up and let them know, well, there's a difference here. Hold on. How often does that happen? I imagine a lot. 50.
No, very, very rarely.
Oh,
very rarely. Yeah, it's 2 reasons. One, I don't put doctor on I don't use business cards anymore. But if you look at my LinkedIn, I don't think it says Dr. Cordell Hardy. In the settings and circles in which I normally operate, PhDs are plentiful, and nobody. You come off a little bit pretentious if you go around and say, hey, my name's Dr. Cordell Hardy. And it's like, yeah, who's this guy? So,
he's a doctor.
Right. And so the only thing you do if you play that up too heavily in a corporate setting is you come across as if you're trying to create a separate community that's somehow like more knowledgeable or more relevant than people that don't have a PhD. And that's the last thing I want to do as a leader. That's the very last thing you want to do is to cause people that have less than a terminal degree to feel like their idea is not valid. They're not capable to have a conversation with you. None of that. Not a whiff of it. So I find most people. I mean, you need the PhD to do to be not partly to be credentialed, but it's a doctor of philosophy. You're learning how to think. You learn how to solve problems and to interrogate and take advantage of scientific principles to solve issues or interests that you have. So that's what it's about. It's far less about having people to like recognize the degree. So that's partly why they don't ask me to help if a patient is sick. They most of the time don't even know that's the background, especially outside of the work setting. And then, it's usually a PhD in the back of the name instead of a Dr. Cordell Hardy, because that could, like you say, get confusing.
Yeah. Okay. That's great there. We have to we have to talk about one other little item that I think everyone's going to have here. We want to know what the basketball game is like nowadays. I know I'm getting in twice a week. I'm playing a little pickup.
Oh, man, please. Man, no. Very, very limited. It's so no,
okay,
man. So right. The main reason is I learned the hard way when I was in my early 30s. I'm in my mid to upper 40s now. That there are some injuries that you can inflict on yourself that don't heal all the way, and so a trampoline is a great way to experience some of those. I was trying to learn a 360 somersault, like the twisting somersault. I had done some gymnastics before, and so I had never learned that, and so I was trying to learn it. And one particular day I said, no, I'm going to get this. And so I kept twisting and landing and twisting and landing, and I kind of was like each time slightly tearing the cartilage in my knees. And I felt it didn't hurt a lot. It was a sore. But as I was leaving and I started to cool down, it started to hurt, quite a bit. And that's when I learned, it's not the sort of thing that's debilitating, but it decreased the impact resistance from both knees. So then, the jumping on even hardwood floors, that elevation, trying to get up, and the landing doesn't feel good. And so you just learn, if I run, I'll do a jogging pace, 10-minute mile, nothing hard. And the basketball, coaching the kids, that's about it.
Wait, maybe I missed this part. Did you end up landing it that day?
I did not.
Oh my gosh.
Made the trip. And so I was I was only able to get like 3/4 of the way around. I just never.
270.
It's muscle memory.
Oh, I get it. I'm a skateboarder, and when you're trying to do a 360, 270 is normally where most of us end up.
Yeah.
All right. You're currently living in Minnesota?
This is true. Yes.
All right. Philly guy?
Yeah.
All right. You proved it. You could go down south. You could, I'm going to say, fit in. What's it like in Minnesota? Because the rest of us, all we know is we hear that you've got tunnels. And to get from one building to another, we think that you got to take an underground tunnel because it's Armageddon and it's frozen up top. Can you help us with that? Is that true?
Yep, it's not true at all. It's a wonderful place to live. It's not perfect, right?
Yeah.
So, no place is, but I've lived here now 25 years, longer than I've lived any other place. 25, 26 years, something like that.
Yeah.
The economy is great. It's a wonderful place to raise a family.
Sure.
The weather is, the winters have been cold, and unfortunately with some climate change, we are seeing, even in the time I've been here, some noticeable transitions there. But you don't have hurricanes, you don't have earthquakes, you have some snow, and if that starts to dwindle a bit over time, what you're left with is a thriving metro with a strong arts culture, a strong economy that has easy proximity to both coasts, international flights direct to Asia, direct to Europe, direct to not to Latin America, but you can get places easily from here, and it's very well connected. So, I agree. I had no earlier consideration of Minnesota whatsoever before moving here, except for the internships that I did, and we've been pleasantly surprised. I said it's not perfect. I mean, there's still a journey to go with equity and diversity. If you think about some of the education stats. Minnesota's fairly well known in education circles for having the largest opportunity gap in the country. And so, the difference between Black students and white students and, standard tests and so forth. So it doesn't mean this is not a utopia. There's still a lot of work to do, but we're working on it. And in the meantime, there are a lot of advantages here. So that's why I stay. And, I am impactful here. And I feel like the opportunity to grow in that impact is continuing to grow here.
Another hard one. Yeah. Eagles, Vikings. What you doing, Cordell? What you doing there?
If either team is going far in the playoffs, I will watch their game.
Okay.
And if the two play each other, as has happened, I am looking forward to a good game, and I'm sort of indifferent who wins. I've lived here long enough. And you have some friends and associates that are like dealing with the Vikings, right? So then, there's a more of a pull to cheer and see them do well for that. And then also, if you live in the city, just the palpable excitement when the home team is doing well, then it's nice to see everybody, put on the colors and talk about it and feel the excitement there. So that's how I think about it.
I've never asked, we're 197 episodes in. I've never asked anyone this. Fantasy football draft is coming up in a month. Are you taking Justin Jefferson with the number 1 pick? You Homer Hardy, or maybe AJ Brown? Maybe you're going back to the Eagles. What's your number 1 pick?
So I would probably go Justin Jefferson, but the quarterback question for the Vikings, is real.
Yes.
It's also fair to say that I'm going Justin Jefferson just because of a little bit of a lack of depth of awareness of the other options, right? I know Justin Jefferson is a very strong pick.
It is. No, I downgrade him a little bit. I'm holding it against him. You guys got McCarthy, right? That was at Michigan. We haven't seen it. I looked up his stats. You know what? I don't want to bring you down, Cordell, but I'm going to do it. He didn't even throw for 300 yards last year. He didn't have to. It was that dominant of a team, so we don't really know what we have in him. But hey, high draft pick. People really love. He sounds like he's what you need, and good luck to you. Good luck to you. We're all watching.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Jefferson to get that ball.
Yeah. If he does, it's a good thing.
Cordell, as a Vikings fan, hey, you get into the little clap, and when you no longer have Mr. You like that shirtless banging the gong. Do you get into the clap? It looks like a vibe. It looks fun.
It's fun. I'll go to a game once, maybe a season or every other season. So I'm not, a fan is a little strong. Like I'm watching the games. I am not going to every game every weekend and school. It is powerful to see when you are there, and it's the same in any sporting event when everybody is magnetized and focused on one thing, and you get like some united activity. It's fun. It's for me. I enjoy it, but it's not like if they lose on a Sunday, if I'm watching the game, then after the loss, I have moved on. Right, I am not sitting there like fuming, watching the post game. What happened? I did more of that with the Wolves actually.
I was
this
gonna
year.
Get there.
I did.
Alley-oops.
I did. I watched a good number of Wolves games this year and last year. So
that's while we're on Minnesota. I got one more Minnesota after this, but I'm gonna go to the NBA. All right. Anthony Edwards, great shoe, by the way. I need to get that. Especially, I told you I'm still playing twice a week. I need to show up.
Yeah. Okay. I saw from another episode you salsa dance too. We can talk about that.
Yes, sir. Oh, man. Yeah. My wife and I are about to celebrate 10 years of an anniversary at the end of August, and we're going to a salsa festival. It's at a resort here, in Dallas. I don't live in Dallas, and so we're gonna go to that, and we'll do that.
Okay.
That's how we met. We met salsa dancing. We're gonna do that 10th anniversary, the paper anniversary. We're gonna do that on the dance floor. But thanks for thanks for listening. But I'm still gonna hit you with this hard one though. Don't soften me up, Cordell.
Yeah, you haven't even gotten anything hard.
Really? I thought these were gonna make it firm. Philly, you know what? Hey, your mama didn't know. You gotta send them this episode, and they're gonna be like, "Baby, you said,
man,
you said, you didn't say. I taught you better than that, Cordell." Okay, how about this one? Your boy, your guy, Anthony Edwards, gets to the USA team, and the very first interview, he says, "Hey, I'm the number one option."
Yeah.
And I'm going to relate this. You sound that smile. It looks like you're familiar with it, but I want to relate it for some others that weren't aware. This will probably be the last one for LeBron, probably the last one for Steph Curry. And so I believe in deference, but I'm going to say this to you, Cordell. I mean, you're a working professional. Well, what say you when some young hotshot comes up and is like, "Hey, it's on me right now, players. It's on me right now." How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So, Donato, I think some of this is self-correcting. And so I'll just use it, maybe the analogy you're using with basketball, and then also the application in the corporate setting.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that Ant is going to, who is an amazing ball player. He had a season last year, it was really impressive. I believe he's leading the second unit.
Yeah.
So if people say what they want, and some of that is he's quick on his feet and great with the press. Sometimes he's joking. He's not thinking about what I say or think, and that's great. I enjoy when he's playing. I enjoy when he dunks on somebody in outstanding flashy fashion. Right? I love it, but him saying whatever, it's not changing what the coaches are doing with their game plan too much, right? These are grown men. LeBron James is, you can debate who's the GOAT. This isn't the discussion, but he is in the conversation.
He is in the conversation.
So I did hear his comment, but I didn't think about it. And I don't think, I mean, you say what you want to say, right? You could be what you can. That's all. And on the second team, he might indeed be the number one option. That's wonderful. Get the gold, play ball, have fun, get a championship here in the Twin Cities. If there's anything we want to talk about, let's get that W next year. Let's talk about that.
You know what? I like your answer. I like that angle. I like the self-correction. And again, that doesn't mean that the coaches are going to be swayed. Steve Kerr, he knows talent. I mean, he's been around talent. He's got 4 rings. He's got Tyronn Lue right there, who's already coached LeBron. He knows what he's capable of. Coached at the highest levels. I like that.
Yeah. But if I could, just to get to something a little more tactical on the professional front, that's going to be relevant for the majority of us that don't play pro basketball, right? Humility and this sort of servant leadership mindset, and a willingness to actually try to proactively raise your teammates up. You see, LeBron is a great passer, right? So you see that in the pro game analogy, but it maps directly to corporate setting as well. The me first, empire building, narcissistic. You see those folks coming a mile away. People don't want to collaborate with them. So you don't innovate as effectively because you don't know everything, and you need to have other people who proactively want to share their ideas with you and don't feel like you might take them, twist them, and make them your own, and then take the credit and try to run for a promotion or a pay raise or a new job or whatever. So, and when I say self-correcting, that's what I mean. I find if you're thinking about a successful enterprise, you're not going to find that built of a bunch of folks that behave that way, right? You're not competitive, so you lose.
You said you're a manager, and we keep diving into corporate talk. You seem pretty cool, Cordell. I think we're all going to your your company's website after this, and we're going to apply if the managers are like you. To your point, though, you're not hitting people over the head with the doctor. You're humble in that as it seems here. We want to know the bad stuff. Cordell, I'm gonna say, let me just size this up. Let me look at you there. Got it. Yep. You're the guy that eats other people's yogurt out of the refrigerator. Am I right? Am I right there?
Other people? No.
What about a sandwich? What about a sandwich? The Philly guys,
I don't want that. I don't know where that sandwich been. I don't know how long the yogurt's been in there, and I don't know what you did with that sandwich.
Yeah. All right. I read that one.
The bad stuff.
Wait a minute. You got a lot of cats at your house. You just show up and start flipping through cat pictures and forcing us to watch your cat. Am I right?
Nah, bro. Yeah. My wife can tell you about me and pets. Nah. So, nope.
Yeah, we want the bad stuff. What's the negative there? Look, you're in a job interview now. Tell me your strengths and weaknesses.
Sure.
And your negatives.
Yeah. So, okay. I appreciate. So cognitively, I know just what I just talked about, right? It's not about me.
Yep.
It's about your team. You're building people up. I will struggle with if you have a dialogue.
Sure.
And I'm the manager, and so this is especially where I have to check myself with people that are in my solid line reporting organization.
Yeah.
I have to, especially depending on the culture of the company, command and control doesn't work, right? It's like, do this because I said to do it. That's not, people disengage, right? So I have to check where I feel like, okay, this is where we need to go. This is, we're talking about it, but this is what I would like to have happen. If people aren't there or if they're resistant, that is where I have to manage attitude, thought, word carefully, because you actually are vested with power, right? That's the nature of being a manager. You can wield that, but that's not the way to be successful long term, right? So that's something I have to be careful about. And again, self-correcting. I also understand, like, if you're not careful about it, your team will rebel, and
yes,
soon your previous manager.
Just doing this.
Yeah. So that's one thing. But I mean, it's real. Like, inside, there's the pride thing. It's like, well, no, I said this, right? You heard what I said. So that's there, and you have to manage. Filter, control, be deliberate about it.
Sure.
What else? You talked about chameleon.
Yeah.
There's the code switching for Black man or African American, especially senior leader.
Sure.
There's this balance between being authentic and speaking the language or communicating effectively, right?
Yeah.
And if I go to Brazil and I want to speak in English, but the people I'm speaking to speak Portuguese principally, I have to understand I'm not going to be as effective, right?
Yes.
And so I can't go and say, I'm just going to be my authentic self and I'm going to speak English no matter what.
Nope.
So that doesn't work. So there is a place for authenticity, and that's around character, representing who you are and what you do, your values. Absolutely. But the medium for sharing that has to be culturally relatable. And I find that's another area where I sometimes find myself a little bit unbalanced.
Yeah.
Not in a bad, no, but it's a constant work, right?
Yeah.
I remember, so talking about Minnesota not being perfect. It just so happens that a number of sort of high profile, police police interactions with African American men happened right here, Philando Castile, and then of course George Floyd, and you know others too, right?
Yeah.
But I remember just like for me as a manager coming into a work environment after an event like that happens, and if it's quiet, like, okay, do we talk about it? Or like, how, you know, you're driving past like protests on the street to get to work, traffic jam, so I'm late to work for this. And you get there, it's like, well, you know, do you just like talk about the project? I mean, so that's sort of a thing. And if I have absolutely, this was like real on the job training. So this is like 2014, 2016 timeframe where it's like this, I'm in the seat and the stuff is happening and I'm not practiced at how to manage that. Right. So, so I feel a lot more comfortable now. You lean into it, you talk about it. Right. You create an expectation that even to the senior levels of the company that you're talking about it. Because it impacts how people perform at work, not just that. It impacts how people experience their lives and work and life intersect, right? So, but again, that's an experience that's internal that not everybody has to experience in the same way, right? I think there's you call it, I've heard casually, colloquially, the black tax. Like there's a thought action that happens in how you manage what you project in environments where you are even more a social minority than you are even out in the broader community. And so it's not sufficient. It's again, at least from my vantage point, my experience, it's insufficient to just say, look, just be yourself and say whatever you want, whatever you think or feel like that is, you will not be successful, right? So there is a need to tweak. Not tweak, to be deliberate about what you project and your messaging and your audience. But that's true for everybody, regardless of cultural background. It's just that that piece, there's no like handbook, there's no like the old manual for handling that sort of
black digest.
Right. There's not it's not there, right? So that's common sense, but values and all those things can guide. And having your community of like your virtual board of directors and sharing, with people. And your manager, especially. I have a great manager. I've always had great managers. My previous one in my old company, the one I have now, really awesome for that.
We get to a point in life where we seek those out. You always want to know, hey, that brother's doing it. That brother's doing it right there. But there's no books. Cordell, you seem like you're doing it, but there's no book. I'm 47 minutes in now. I might have to go back and do some cutting or chopping. But how would you help young brothers that are out there that are trying to get to that point, that are trying to find? I just had a Latino on a couple episodes, probably 5 episodes now. Now think about it, and she's doing that with Latinas. She's trying to make sure that they can feel comfortable that if they want to wear hoop earrings, that they could be their authentic self, instead of hating themselves inside because they're trying to walk and talk and be something that they're not. That they can wear their natural curly hair instead of making it straight like everyone else. I hadn't even thought about that. Latinas have to do that sometimes. Great episode. I think I was 192 with her. Sorry if I'm wrong, Bessie. But when I'm talking to a gentleman as yourself, what could you offer some that are trying to make it, that are not there yet, and then those that are still maybe even your peers right now and are looking for someone like you that could say, I'm comfortable. I wish everyone else could be, and this is why. What could you offer?
That's a deep question. So And there are two different groups. So you talk about peers and just like how to connect, how to reach out, how to engage. Um, I would say to just do it like you did with me. You just reached out to me. I don't know how many, it was not many days ago that you reached out. Hey, could you do this podcast? Yes, here we are, done. Right. So I think you'll find with the right sort of persona, personality, people, demographic, I'm not getting paid, right? This is from the heart, or you something you want to do.
Yeah.
And so that motive has to be there. And then if you have the motive, then the visibility is absolutely there. I mean, there's, I could run down a list of 50 people that somebody could connect with. Very easy. As far as the earlier stage folks that are trying, like what's the playbook, or how do I go at this? A lot of things have changed since I was starting out my career, and it's, we're just talking about roughly 2 decades or so. It's not that long ago, but it still has changed quite a bit. Social media, LinkedIn, cell phones have like generative AI right on them all the time, right? I mean, the whole game has changed from when I started working. But one thing has not changed. If you're working for a for-profit corporation, one of the main indicators of success is profit, because that's what it's about, right? So understanding whatever your role, the dynamic of value creation and how you are going to drive that. And it goes beyond just what your job description says or what your role is. If you start to think like what the owner of the company is looking for, anticipating that, understanding the strategy behind it, that's the basis for your paycheck coming in.
Yeah.
And understand how to drive those details, and think ahead. And so that plus, ironically enough, at least for me, forsaking the immediate sense of, I did this thing, I sent this email, I made this customer call, whatever it is, and waving a hand to try to get credit, but allowing the consequences of your initiative to kind of just play out. And those two things make you a transformative presence in a company.
Yeah.
And when you behave that way, you create a selfish motive for the company to expand your authority, expand the investment that they make in you, because they make more money when they give you more money.
Yes.
And it's so that behind the scenes dynamic, it doesn't. I'm not trying to say that. I mean, there things like racism, sexism, all the isms do exist.
Yeah.
But capitalism exists too, and so.
Flipping
like
that.
Understand right, so play that game that way, and you create tailwind. It doesn't mean that you won't have headwinds too.
Whew. Yeah, that you just gave us some bars there. We're gonna use that. That was pretty.
Where's Black Thought at? Right.
Let's see. There's Freeway, and now there's Cordell. I mean, we got some Philly. For those that would like to follow what social media, where can we find some more Cordell talk, some more opportunities to engage? Are there any associations that you're a part of, those who may be locally, or how can we find out a little more?
Wow, you just stole the thunder out of some stuff that's coming. So, so more to come on that for sure. But I'm active on LinkedIn, as you saw. All right. So if anybody on an individual basis wants to ever connect with me, even if you don't have my cell phone number and email address, LinkedIn, I will see it. I will see it that day. I treat that like email, right? So I am very responsive there. Now, I can also say, if you are trying to sell me something, I will generally ignore it, because I get a very large amount of solicitation on LinkedIn, and so I just, by policy, don't. So that I can tell you that's not going to be useful. So that's one way. I do have a few videos out there. So if you search my name, you can find it's not seminars, but things like this, interviews or presentations that have been recorded. But we are looking actively at ways to try to create a churn of spots like this. I mean, for people that have something that they believe they want to express for the local metro here. And we have a lot of corporate majors here, as I mentioned earlier. We also have the major sports teams, so a lot of highly capable sort of local talent, and we want to try to find ways to get them better connected. And so with that is going to come some online engagement opportunity, and that won't be closed. It'll be available to everyone.
All right. Looking forward to it. This is it's good. Cordell, we appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. I will just ask, were there any items that maybe you wanted to offer up, talking points that you would have liked to have offered and maybe I didn't cover? We'll even take any mantras, any mindsets. I mean, you've actually offered us a few so far, but to see.
Sure, and I appreciate it. Selflessness in the professional context is a sort of a secret weapon. I already shared about that. Capital allocation, value creation, learning how that stuff works, whatever your background. So, and then having fun. And this is something I enjoy, just getting out and enjoy and having the social activity. But I have to prioritize that and make time for it. And so, because the demands of work things can always, creep in. So I think we covered some really good ground.
We did.
I appreciate you inviting me on. To God be the glory. It's an awesome time to just get a chance to share. I appreciate the opportunity to do that with you.
Hey, well, we'd just like to say thanks for talking with Donato, and have a great rest of the day, Cordell. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thanks, Donato. Take care. Yep. Appreciate it.